Whiskey Troubles. Hello, everyone, and welcome to the podcast of The Ordinary Maverick. This is Ajay, your host, an ordinary maverick sharing real life thoughts and experiences and maverick tips. If you haven't hit the subscribe button yet, please do so, and you will not miss another episode. I lost a night. Many years ago, I woke up in the morning with no recollection of the last 8 hours. Yes, I had lost a night, and coupled with that, I had a splitting headache. You might have guessed it, I had a hangover. And it wasn't pleasant for sure. Like often happens in such cases, I swore off alcohol forever. But you know what? It was my first time experience of a hangover. And all first experiences are memorable, right? So, yes, from an experience perspective, it was great. And I'm all for new experiences. But, fellow Mavericks, I don't recommend these kind of experiences unless responsibly done. Now, why was it the first time? Well, one reason was that I wasn't expecting it. I enjoy an occasional drink or two, drink socially, but never had a hangover. It's never quite got to that point. So, how did it happen that day, or shall I say that night? For starters, I was caught unawares. And secondly, the drink had a lot to do with it. We were invited on a camping trip by friends, one of those trips where you start off not knowing everyone and end up having a great time bonding in the outdoors. It was a 2-night trip, and this incident happened on the second night. We had hiked the entire day. If you remember, I've spoken about that experience on one of my podcasts titled Kloofing and Risk Taking. And then on return to our campsite, we settled down around the fire, ready to have a drink or two and enjoy some barbecue meats and veggies accompanied by lots of chatting. And then one person in the group brought out this drink that she had made herself at home. It was white in color, and she started pouring it in glasses, sharing that this was a South African drink made with condensed milk and alcohol. Think it was, rum or could have been vodka. It's been some years now, so not quite sure. Don't remember the details, but definitely do remember the experience. Always game to try out new things, I accepted a glass and over the course of the next hour, sipped it up. And then perhaps had another glass and another. It had the right balance of sweet and sour, tasty due to the condensed milk, and I drank it as if I was having dessert. Dessert, that's right. Gosh, what foolishness. And then everything is a whirl in my memory. It's funny, it's as if one is having an out of mind experience where you kind of know what is happening but are powerless to control it. You are just going along with the flow. I remember going back to our campsite along with a friend in high spirits. I have no recollection thereafter what happened next. And my only memory is of waking up the next morning with a splitting headache. I was told later that I had been terribly sick in the night. Several times, in fact, and that I finally went to bed tired and wiped out. I have never ever been that sick. The sweetened milk and alcohol got to me, and I have sworn off such drinks for life. Never again. And it has never happened since then. Funnily, the person who made the drinks was indeed proud and happy by all around praise she got when we were all super high, and that she actually came by our house a few weeks later to gift us yet another bottle of her magical concoction. No guesses here where the contents of the bottle went. Well, I know what you're thinking, but no, it went down the drain as promptly as it came, and I could see the drain pipe a bit oozy thereafter. Fellow Mavericks, have you all experienced a hangover? Maybe my story brought back some memories for you too. Hopefully, none of us have had more than one experience. It's definitely not pleasant. An experience that can turn one off alcohol for life. It didn't do that for me though. Instead, what it did was make me alert and cautious about what I drink. I swore to myself that no more adventures here. I will stick to what I know and what I can see from reliable sources, like a branded bottle, for example. Of course, there's another side to the whiskey bit, or more the rum bit. One of my favorite cakes is the rum and raisin one, especially when the raisins are soaked in rum for days. Nothing like the freshly baked cake, warm and soft, and with raisins oozing rum. Simply delicious. One of our family favorites for sure. Here too, the kind of rum used, the brand, makes all the difference. Speaking of brands, recently we took a short break and went to Ireland and had the most amazing experience with Irish whiskies. Did you know the word whiskey comes from the Irish word Ishkabaha, spelt as Uiscebeatha, which essentially means water of life. At one time, Irish whiskey was the most popular spirit in the world, but then came the period of decline through the late 19th century. So much so that from 28 distilleries in the 1890s, the number came down just to 2 by 1966. But then there was a revival again, and Irish whiskies once again started growing in popularity. Over the last 2 to 3 decades, the world has seen some of the finest Irish whiskies, very distinct and unique in competing with the Scottish brands. Given that we were in Ireland, we couldn't miss an opportunity to visit the Jameson Irish Whiskey Distillery in Midleton. And true to its history and fame, it didn't disappoint. On a lovely summer day, we set out to learn more about the process and art of making whiskey. It is an art and a science, and may I add, lot of passion. As our tour guide took us through the distillery, well preserved over the years, and although this is no longer the site for all the whiskey making, one could see and feel the whiskey. We walked through the grain storage area, understood about the single pot distillation process, and the best part, the aging process, done in these casks, oak and others. And we could see how the different flavors, smoked, unsmoked, came about, and the shifts in whiskey as they aged over the years. I learned more that day about whiskey making than ever before. Not that I've ever made it, but yes, and I have to admit my appreciation for the art has grown exponentially. Got to know about the method and madness of whiskey, a spirit brand that came from the minds of the masters of Midleton Distillery. It resulted from liquid experimentation. Fellow Mavericks, as I walked around that day, retracing steps in that distillery, some things stood out. The perseverance, the patience, the joy of creating that perfect blend, and the experimentation. That's the most amazing thing. When one has patience and joy, creativity will not be that far behind. And for that, one needs courage. Here is where our Maverick formula comes in. Listen to your gut, being mindful and being true and falling forward. As I sipped through the different whiskies and blends in the tasting section of our tour, I could literally feel the dedication and persistence, plus the sheer joy of creating that perfect blend. And you know what? Every barrel is different, unique, and every batch is approached with the same zeal and rigor. We rarely do that in reality. Think about it. There are lessons from whiskey making process. The sifting of the grains, removing what's not needed, including from your life, going through the process without rushing, and then leaving it to mature and age. There's nothing like experience, right? That's life, Mavericks. Let's do all that we can make each moment of our lives that perfect blend. Keep up the high spirits, folks, and send in your comments and experiences of, my earlier podcast on the black tie events and also on Kintsugi at theordinarymaverick@gmail.com, and follow me on Instagram, #theordinarymaverick. I love hearing from you. This is Ajay signing off, wishing you have an amazing day, a super amazing year. Keep well, stay safe. Credits. This podcast series was put together as a team effort from the Bhardwaj family. Concept, design, title, researchers and reviewers Ajay, Sanjana, Avantika and Niharika Bhardwaj. Script, Sanjana. Cover design, Niharika. All rights reserved.